Oh, thank you very much for very exciting data. I have two questions. One is about your solar cell structures. Will you show me again the 29? So my question is about passivation of textured surface. How did you passivate the surface?
Okay, so there are different options. So the passivated surface is of course on the front side. So that's what we do before we lift off. So there we have to stay at low temperature. So at the moment we actually also use amorphous silicon passivation on the front. Of course, amorphous silicon at the front will absorb quite a lot. So we're looking at alternatives there. But for instance, aluminium oxide could also be an option.
Okay. And the second question about the quality of epifilms you deposited. So do you have some difference between the carrier lifetime of silicon films deposited on silicon wafer and the silicon film on deposited on porous silicon?
Yeah, so what we do, so what I mentioned also in the beginning, the resulting epitaxial quality will also depend on the epitaxial deposition process itself.
Sure.
So at the moment what we are using at IMEC is a single wafer reactor used in microelectronics, so it's a very good epitaxial deposition. So if we then compare, so that's because, yeah, just to have a good reference, so we see that all the defects we have really come not from the epitaxy, but they come from the rest of the process. So if we then compare a regular wafer with growing on porous silicon, we almost have the same defect density. So if you make the porous silicon, the reorganization of the porous silicon is done in the right way, then it's almost the same as if you are growing on a wafer. So there is a marginal difference in defect density.
You show the carrier lifetime more than 10 milliseconds for thin film. So is that
no, sorry, that was a wafer. That was on a wafer.
wafer.
That was on a wafer. So we are around 700 to 800 microseconds at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
The quality of the epitaxial layers depends on the thickness of the epitaxial layers, and the void formation is one of the reasons to reduce lifetime. Are there another defects which affect the reduction of lifetime in epitaxial layers? Are there any defects? What kind of defects are impurities?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. So basically what we try to do is we try to, after the reorganization, have this porous silicon surface as defect-free as possible. But typically we have something like 10 to the third per square centimeter of defects there. So we are doing now a study to see what kind of defects we have and which ones are the most problematic. But this is still ongoing. In terms of impurities, we don't really have we don't really suffer from impurities in this case because we use all systems which are very, very clean. So, and I think that is also something very important to control the impurities, but I don't think we suffer from impurities at this moment. So we're still looking into the question exactly what defects we have and how they are formed and how we can avoid them.
Hi, I'm Sergey Tutashkonko from GST. Thank you for your nice presentation. I have a question. So when you anneal it, with time, some small pores, they implode, the others will just become bigger. And if the annealing time is very long enough, all the pores will implode. So have you measured the lifetime as a function of annealing time? And that last point, what will be the lifetime, the carrier lifetime, when all the layer is recrystallized? Thank you.
Okay, so we have the porous silicon layer, and we reorganize it during a very short high temperature bake, which we actually do inside the epitaxial reactor. So we ramp up the temperature to the deposition temperature, which is typically 1100 degrees, and then we stay for a few minutes. So what we did is we looked at the evolution of the reorganization as a function of time. And actually the reorganization is already finished after around 2 minutes, so we only do 2 minutes. And we have seen if we anneal longer than 10 minutes, for instance, then we start getting more defects and the lifetime goes down. But so the annealing process is only a few minutes. Of course, including also, well, let's say a few minutes at high temperatures, but we also have a certain ramping up time first. But so it's very short, and we know only that if we do it much longer, then indeed the porous silicon will reorganize and it will become worse again.
Thank you.
Okay, time is coming, so thanks again, Dr. Gordon.